is the leftists and the people in the Senate, Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, every Democrat member of Congress, they told us that if Trump acts like this, then he's not going to be able to have good relations with foreign countries. Actually, they told us the way you do foreign policy is to roll over, okay, and get absolutely hosed, take it, and then hope for a little bit of some smiles and some backslapping and some goodwill. That's what they told you foreign policy meant. They told you that foreign policy meant getting absolutely run over and then smiling. Otherwise, countries that are 50 times weaker than us will not have a good feeling about us. Does that make any sense? The answer is no, it never made sense. They fed you this hysteria that the economy would collapse if Trump put a little bit of leverage to recorrect a problem that has been plaguing and tanking our economy and our domestic production for the last 30 years. Are you going to stop it at all? Are you going to let it just fading into the oblivion? That's, I guess, what the alternative was to what Trump did. And what's amazing to me is Trump made this deal this week with the European Union. It's an amazing deal. It brings all tariffs to equal. It creates the investment of billions of dollars across multiple sectors of industry, okay, from USA to Europe, and absolutely puts us back on the plane that, again, even the European Union Commissioner said, levels the playing field at a point that is now level before it was in balance. Trump has that getting admitted as he's sitting there in his Scottish castle. It's beautiful. So when that happened and I watched it live, I said, how are the liberals going to react about this? I watched CNN talk about it. I watched MSNBC talk about it. And here is the begrudging relenting that Trump was right. Roll it.
Does the U.S. take any hits with this deal? And what does it say, this outcome say about the president's ability to negotiate?
It's incredibly favorable for the United States. When you look at this, it's been very one-sided. I mean, the U.S. has been making the demands, and these other countries have had to kind of contort and comport themselves to them. So they emerge fine here. But what's going to change is over the next weeks and months, as countries and trading partners like the EU look at this episode and think, can we trust this relationship with the U.S.? Can it continue? I think even looking at this deal, framework of which we don't have a ton of details. If that somehow goes south or changes, what's a trading partner like the EU to do? So we see them.
Okay. So essentially they're saying, well, because they made the deal fair, that might hurt the feelings of the people that were ripping us off for the last 30 years. That's what they're bending it like a pretzel, trying to explain. I watched CNN myself talk about it, and they were like, well, you know, President Trump got the win here, but this might hurt the feelings of the European Union, and it might hamstring future efforts to cooperate with matters like Ukraine. That's what they said. And then you had some short-haired globalist lesbian, okay, who was in some bank somewhere in a far-off land, come on CNN and say, this is going to increase inflation. You know what? You said that 8 months ago. It didn't work then, so it's even more laughable now. The shorter hair on a lesbian that you bring on time after time, it's not going to make your point get driven home more, CNN. You can bring on a bald lesbian. Okay, no one's buying it anymore. This is all they got left. This is all they got left. And you know what? I'm surprised that a district judge at this point, Trump is on such an absolute, winning streak. I'm surprised that district judges aren't stepping in. They're stepping in over literally everything that they've never stepped in on in the history of America. So I'm surprised that a judge hasn't stepped in and said, no, you can't do the trade deal. I'm surprised the judge hasn't stepped in and said, that one big beautiful bill that Congress passed and you signed. No, we're going to undo the one big beautiful bill. A district judge said so. It's laughable. All they got left are district judges who are prolonging and delaying the inevitable. Trump says, okay, we're going to defund Planned Parenthood. It's federal dollars. I believe we have the right to determine where those federal dollars go. Trump says we're going to defund it. The judge says you can't do that. How does a district court judge sitting in some smelly courtroom in San Francisco have the ability to dictate billions of dollars of Washington, D.C. tax dollar spending from taxes that we all pay? Makes absolutely no sense. But they're doing it. And you know what else makes no sense? The fact that right now the odds bettors have Kamala Harris as the leading candidate for 2028. No, that's real. Kamala Harris, has been in the news over the last couple of days because she ruled out running for governor of California. Oh, my goodness. Who is going to cause massive, riots, looting, wildfire crisis, water shortages? Who's going to cause all that in California if not Kamala Harris? Who's going to step up and do it? I don't know. Kamala Harris says she's not doing it. Kamala Harris also has a book out called 107 Days, the shortest presidential campaign in history. Now, I want to know who wrote more of their respective thing. Did Joe Biden write more of his own signature? Or did Kamala Harris write more of this book? Did the auto pen do both? Write this book and, do Biden's signature on every single piece of legislation ever? Kamala Harris obviously has not written a page of this book. Kamala Harris, remember, famously, was too lazy even to be in her own campaign meetings. She would be too lazy to do anything. And then when, you spend $5 million on Megan Thee Stallion, some black woman rapper shaking her ass on camera at the Georgia Dome, and that doesn't appeal to swing voters in Georgia, she gets mad after the fact that, that wasn't a good enough decision that was made. No, that was what we call money laundering. Billions of dollars in, billions of dollars out to get everybody paid, and Kamala Harris be a sacrificial lamb. If she says that in the book, you know what? I'll buy a copy of the book. But all it's going to say is, this was amazing. I was the first black, Indian, Pacific Island, Asian woman ever. Maybe she'll come out as bisexual in the book. Probably is. Kamala's a little bit freaky. If you know, you know. If that comes out in the book, maybe it'll be a good book. But Frankie, do you see any what do you think is going to be? Let me ask this, Frankie. First thing that comes to mind that you think is going to be in Kamala's book.
Well,
quick, Frankie.
Well, first, I need to comment on your first comment about how much she may have written. She may not have written any words in this book, but she certainly stained a few pages when she was reading it with her red wine. I would say there's 100% chance of that. But I would say it's all...
She went, Dougie, look at the book. And she spills the pill bottle of Xanax and red wine all over the manuscript. Sorry, Frankie.
No, please. I would just say she's going to have to parse this a little bit. I'm curious to know, is she going to go in on the whole, that moment when we watched the debate and I realized I'm going to have to step up because he can't run the nation? Or is she going to curdle behind and say he did so good up until the moment I was just asked to, I'm just curious how she's going to cut through that.
Yeah. I think she's coming out knives out for Biden. That's my prediction. We'll see. That's going to be the only interesting thing in the book, because nothing else will be truthful. We know that. Now, speaking of not truthful, how about the other candidates that are in the rumor mill for 2028? A lot of people are talking about one of my senators, Cory Booker. Again, I am a New Jersey resident. Everybody knows that who watches this show. My senator is this guy who, by the way, doesn't live in New Jersey. He lives in New York City with his closet secret boyfriend, He stole millions of dollars from the Newark Water Authority when he was the mayor, funneling it into some private company that he had an ownership stake of. Newark is in utter disrepair, gets worse and worse. It looks like a Gaza. Newark looks like Gaza. And Cory Booker here is saying, I'm going to be the guy for 2028, I guess, with this fake manufactured mentally ill outrage. Roll it, Frankie.
That's why I'm standing here. Don't question my integrity. Don't question my motives. I'm standing for Jersey. I am standing for my police officers. I'm standing for the Constitution, and I'm standing for what's right.
Let's go.
And dear God,
Hunter
if you want to
Biden.
come at me that way, you're going to have to take it up with me, because there's too much on the line right now in America. As people's due process rights and freedom of the speech rights and secret police are running around this country, picking people up off the streets who have a legal right to be here. There's too much going on in this country.
Hold on a minute. You know what Cory Booker is mad about? Let me translate for you. He's really leaning in on, secret police. That's what we call ICE officers. And his party will dox and try to physically harm those ICE officers. That's why they cover their face. Nobody gets mad about the people covering their face at the left-wing protests, but the ICE officers can't do it. And he's mad about no due process. So people who come in the country illegally, Cory Booker wants them to count in the census so New Jersey can be a permanently blue state when President Trump actually, again, President Trump and Mike Crispi have started the charge to turn New Jersey red. That's what Booker's mad about. Now let's take it one step further. New Jersey, okay, Cory Booker there. How about little Somalia, a.k.a. Minnesota? That's where Ilhan Omar represents a large contingency of the population. And she's upset, we're trying to keep score, she's upset about Americans that she deems are too stupid for her. Again, a foreigner who came into this country. The Americans here are too stupid to deal with. Roll it.
These people are just idiots. I really, I'm at the point where it's become really hard to have an intellectual debate with any of these people because the level of stupidity that they are displaying every single day is frankly embarrassing, not just in Congress, but as Americans. And the fact that these people are allowed to say just the most ridiculous things tells you that the dumbing of the United States has arrived, because how else do we get Trump presidency again?
The dumbing of the United States has arrived, says Ilhan Omar. First, she's talking about how people are allowed to say things. It's called the First Amendment, okay? No, you just got here, Ilhan, from a shit old third world country, but we have the First Amendment. That's why you're allowed to say anything, but you're smarter than everybody. And secondarily, you say the country keeps getting dumber. Your people from your country have an average IQ of 65. So that just might be lowering the overall IQ, in aggregate, if that makes sense. Ilhan Omar can't deal with these people. That's family have been in America for generations, so she can't deal with them. Come on. We have an opportunity here. We cannot make unforced errors, which leads me to this. A lot has been in the news about Gaza, okay? And people like Mark Levin and this boomer contingency want you to say, it's just, people like that. It's people like Ilhan Omar that are upset about it. Here's the deal. America needs to be America first. America first means not giving billions of dollars to another country to embark in a absolute, we'll call it, demolition project of an entire regional area. Children are starving. It's an objective fact. I'm not saying that America has to give money. I actually don't believe in any foreign aid. But what I do think is if you're going to give money, you don't give money to the people that are blocking the journalists from getting in to cover who's actually responsible. Does that make sense? Here's how you solve the problem. A lot of people chirp from both sides. Some people say, oh, Mike, this is Hamas. Hamas is starving and killing their own people, and they're hiding everything behind everything. That's why they're blowing up everything. That's what they're saying. And then the other side is saying, no, it's actually Israel, which is, starving out the people, and they're not shooting people. That's preposterous. Here's how you fix it. You allow the journalists to go in. Who's not allowing the journalists to go in right now? Allow the journalists to go in. Allow them to see what's going on. If Hamas are the people who are not allowing the journalists to go in and they're starving their own people, let the journalists come in and see it. And you know what? The IDF has way more military might than Hamas, obviously, because they flatten the entire area of Gaza. So if the military is protecting the journalists and they can go in and see who's actually starving who, I think that would solve the problem right there, okay? Even Trump is saying it. The younger demographic that voted for Trump, the anti-war demographic, you're going to get mad at me. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you the truth right now. The younger anti-war demographic doesn't want America funding one side, okay, either fund nobody, or if you're going to do something about it, then make sure that one group that you're funding isn't totally starving and, destroying and leveling a whole society. Does that make sense? The boomer neocons will get mad at me, but that is just in the data of what young conservatives are saying and thinking. Trump even said that. So something's got to give. All right, Frankie, I'm going to switch it up on you right now, and we're going to do a smart health plan. Guys, sorry about that, Frankie. If you're fed up with health insurance premiums that are draining your wallet, Go to the Smart Health Plan right now. They will save you money. They will guarantee your coverage. If you haven't been able to get insurance anywhere else, the Smart Health Plan has your back. If you're facing any type of hardships with your medical bills, get in touch with them. They can guarantee you coverage today. TheSmartHealthPlan.com. Call my friend Barry at the number on your screen if you need health insurance. Don't neglect it, guys. All right, quick break. We'll be right back with so much more. Don't go anywhere.
Thinking about buying a new cell phone? Think AMAC. AMAC members have access to special pricing on talk, text, and data plans for as little as $10 per month. It's one of the many ways joining AMAC can save you money on everyday things. But that's not all AMAC has to offer. AMAC is America's leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization, guided by the principles of faith, family, and freedom. So when it comes to saving money on cell phones and service, think AMAC.
Is your body ready for summer?
We're gonna build a body you can be proud of.
You just give me 30 minutes a day for 21 days, and I promise you, the weight will come off.
This is 21 Day Fix, the perfect program to get you summer ready.
I am in perfect shape for my bikini.
I had that sexy little beef.
Get simple fitness, simple nutrition, fast results in just 21 days.
Get ready for summer with 21 Day Fix. This week, try it free at 21dayfix.com. That's 21dayfix.com.
Rav Family, from the group who brought you the hit songs 81 Million Votes, My Ass, MAGA Nation, and Trader Joe, comes a brand new single. Daddy Trump is available everywhere, and we need you to make some noise. Go download it on iTunes, and let's run it up to #1 on the charts for President Trump.
So I just want to thank everybody very much. Thank you.
Get ready. You're about to get bombed by the Truth Bomber.
Didn't raise y'all, but I had to step up. Put the Ayatollah on a no-cap checkup. He calls me Daddy Trump. NATO knows what's up. Why they play pretend, I call they bluff. Kim and Vlad acting bad, throwing fits on the floor. BB screaming from the back, saying, Daddy, there's a war. I walk in like Sunday school.
Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. Mike Crispi here. Thanks for sticking with us on Real America's Voice. You know, we've been covering the rise of these left-wing figures in left-wing cities, and it seems like it's only getting dragged more down into the abyss. Big cities that were once proud are now in state of affairs that we would have never even thought possible. And new nominees, okay, who are getting put up, these leftists, they're saying that their predecessors who got the cities to this state didn't do enough. How about Minneapolis, Minnesota? That's where the George Floyd riots broke out. Here is the new Democrat mayoral nominee talking about that. Roll.
Have you seen any change in policing 5 years later since what happened to George Floyd that caused one of the great movements that we've seen in American history?
Unfortunately, no. The mayor has promised continuously to our communities that there would be real meaningful reform, and 5 years later, there is still no plan. Just last week.
All right, so essentially what you're hearing is left-wing cities not going far enough in the eyes of the new nominees of the party. It's not just I guess that's the I am the captain now guy, right? Somalian pirate. There's also Zoran, obviously, in New York. The most famous example of it, we call him the Champagne Socialist now. And here to talk about all that and law and order in our cities are my amazing panelists tonight. We have Billy Prempe, who is a congressional candidate in the state of New Jersey, and New York City councilman who, I don't know if he is excited about this, who might, unless Zoran gets stopped, have to work with him in some capacity, New York City councilman Frank Morano. Frank, I want to start with you. You're in New York City. You represent Staten Island, which is a proud people in the city, so it's not all liberal for the people out there. Do you think, for the people out there wondering what's going on, do you think that New York, with all the examples we're seeing of Zoran at the wedding in Uganda, at the compound, he comes back, he talks about gun control, do you think he's going to gain momentum here in the months to come, or do you think that they're finally going to reject this weird Frankenstein socialist experiment? What are you seeing on the ground, Frank?
such a good question. So the way you posed the question was also so interesting about gaining momentum versus rejection, because in New York City, like a lot of blue cities, is a Democratic city, and if you're the Democratic nominee, you have a good chance of winning. I definitely don't see, in light of what we've seen now with a mass shooting and the very tragic killing of 4 people, including a police officer, I definitely don't see an appetite for what he's been peddling, obviously defunding the police and disbanding certain very popular units within the NYPD. I don't see any appetite for that. I'm curious to see, rather than him getting momentum, I'm curious to see if you're going to see any sort of change in his rhetoric or any of his issue agenda, because Mamdani and his crew wanted to take $1 billion away from the NYPD, and if they got their way, how many more tragedies like what we saw this week in New York would we see? These are the same people who want to strip qualified immunity, leaving cops second-guessing themselves instead of stopping criminals. If Mamdani ran New York City, the only people who'd feel safe would be criminals, and even they'd have to dodge bullets.
Wow. It's quite fascinating that in the wake of this, again, example after example, we see left-wingers say, oh, you know what, maybe we should just write more stringent gun laws, and the criminals coming in, well, they'll make sure to read the fine print that we've amended so they don't commit another crime. Let's roll this clip here, Frankie, of Mamdani. He got back from Uganda. He hit the press conference circuit, and this is what he said.
And as New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and Americans across the country mourn this mass shooting, we are reminded that no matter how strong our gun laws are in this state, we are only as safe as the weakest laws in this nation. And so in this moment, the onus is on all of us to follow the words of Alain's brother and to put forward a vision of stronger gun laws. And I echo the call from Governor.
It's really bad. And again, biggest, most stringent gun laws in the country usually are the most gun-infested crime areas. Billy, what do you think? And you're running for Congress. You have some urban areas in there. Talk about what you think is the solution here. And, New Jersey and New York have a little bit of a thing in common because people will outwardly migrate from New York. If Zoran wins, probably to New Jersey. How do you see this all shaping up in Jersey and the big cities you represent, particularly in these urban communities?
Well, number one, God forbid this guy gets elected, Mamdani, because I think he's going to be a complete disaster. One of the most important things that I think we should take from everything that he just said was his last statement that we're only as strong as our weakest laws that are put in place. And these gun laws of preventing people from having the right to bear arms, the ability to defend themselves, he's right. The city is only as strong as that. And in reality, what he's been pushing for is for a more dangerous city. And I think that if New Jersey is going to, I think New Jersey really needs to open their eyes as well, because here in the places like Paterson, people are coming from Manhattan, they're coming from Harlem, they're coming from all over the place. They're coming into our state, and they're also increasing the cost of living for people here in the state of New Jersey. We've already got a ton of problems to deal with in regards to violence, especially here in the city of Paterson. I can see the exact same thing happening in New York, and I think it's only going to get worse if they get this guy elected. So I don't want to see any of that coming here to the state of New Jersey, and I think we should keep it that way. I don't know too much what to say about this guy.
Ripple effect, yeah.
Yeah, like there's not too much to say about this.
Yeah. So I want to ask you this, Frank. He went to the wedding. He comes back. He's in Uganda. Okay, comes back, and there are people reporting out there that Mamdani now has a security detail of New York Police Department officers. I saw that online today. I wanted to ask if you know anything about the fact that Mamdani wants to get rid of the police, now has a full-fledged NYPD security detail. What do you know about that? And from what I'm reading online, it's hard for just candidates to get that. How did that come about, and do you think Mamdani should have the security detail?
First, I actually do. I think if you're the Democratic nominee for mayor, especially somebody that's as polarizing as Mamdani is, and I would say the same thing if he was a Republican, you absolutely should be entitled to the protection of the NYPD. Now, it's quite a different thing if you're an ex-mayor or if you're no longer in the limelight or if you're the mayor, the ex-mayor's wife. But look, there are so many lunatics out there. Nobody wants anybody assaulting or, God forbid, killing the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City. As far as the Uganda trip goes, certainly it illustrates a level of hypocrisy on Mamdani's part. He's talking about socialism while he's having this lavish, very, very, very wealthy party in Uganda. That being said, I have a tough time getting too worked up about this because, it's, I guess, his money or his parents' money, let's assume. And I don't care what his parents are doing with their money. I don't care what he's doing with his money. He just went through a long campaign. I have no issue with him having a vacation and having a party for his wedding. There's so many other things to criticize with Mamdani. The guy wants to arrest the prime minister of Israel. The guy was one of only 5 assembly members not to co-sponsor a resolution recognizing the Holocaust. The guy wants to freeze rent in New York City, which is going to cause zero development in New York City. Because if you're a landlord that has residential real estate properties or rental properties, forget about it. You're just not going to build in New York City. Of all the things to get worked up about Mamdani, the 2 that you mentioned, the wedding in Uganda and the police protection, those are 2 that I don't have an issue with.
I got it. And so people are, I guess you could say, reading the headlines of the news, the front pages, and I guess you're saying that they're getting distracted by the messaging a little bit, like we're looking at the Uganda trip and these highlights, but we're forgetting about the things like freezing the rent and defunding the New York Police Department.
Yeah,
it's an interesting point. And I do want to go to...
There's so many real things, and I'll pause here. There's so many real things to be concerned about and, quite frankly, frightened about when it comes to Mamdani, that this stuff, it's so silly. Honestly, it reminds me of whoever the president is, whether it's Obama, whether it's Trump, whether it was Bush, whether they make an issue about how often he's playing golf. I don't care. I don't care how often the president's playing golf. I care what countries he's invading and what tax bills he's signing. Play golf as much as you want. Makes no difference to me. If you're the mayor of New York City or the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City or the Republican nominee for mayor of New York City, go and get married in Uganda as often as you need to.
Hopefully there's not multiple weddings in Uganda. Billy, I want to ask you about this. We see these scenes coming out. From Cincinnati. You can put this on the screen. Got lawlessness all around in these major cities. These are brutal images. But you see these attacks that are happening, these mobs of people attacking innocent bystanders. And it seems like particularly violent crime is on the rise in our major cities. What do you think, Billy, is the solution in these big cities to get it down? And do you think people could feel safe in places like Cincinnati or Minneapolis or New York? And what's the path to make these people realize that if they keep voting for this, it's only going to get more violent? How would you propose that should be turned around? And what's your strategy on that for your voters?
Well, one thing's for certain, leaving your city, leaving your town, and moving somewhere else is not going to resolve the issue. I think that the way that we resolve it is, number one, we have to empower our police. I think that our police have been handcuffed for far too long. They're not allowed to do their job. Bail reform needs to be removed here in the state of New Jersey as well. And I think that we need to actually give the police an opportunity to do what needs to be done. If the citizens can't feel safe in their own community, and criminals are going to continue to be empowered, we're going to see a lot more stuff like this. The image you just put on the screen, I'm assuming that's from that viral video I saw the other day of the woman that was beat up by a mob of people out in the street. Yeah. Is that the video that we saw there? Yeah, and stuff like that is becoming it's becoming far too common and far too frequent. And I started to see a lot of this beginning shortly after the fallout of George Floyd, where it's no longer about anti-cop or anti-this. It's starting to become more of a racial divide. And the worst part about it is that the mainstream media is only paying attention to certain races that are being harmed, to certain races that are being attacked, while downplaying the rest. And I think that creates a false reality of what's happening in our in our communities and in our country. At that same time, when our police aren't able to do their job, there's so much confusion going on in our cities that I think that it's gonna make things even more worse. Things like this shouldn't be happening overall.
Yeah, and I want to roll this clip here of the police commissioner in Cincinnati who was talking about the role that journalists played in reporting on this, and then we'll get your reaction on it. Let's roll this.
Another topic I want to cover real quick: social media and journalism, and the role it plays in this incident. And yes, guys, that's you. That is you. Social media, the post that we've seen, does not depict the entire incident. That is one version of what occurred. At times, social media and mainstream media and their commentaries are a misrepresentation of the circumstances surrounding any given event. What that does, that causes us some difficulties in thoroughly investigating the activity and enforcing the law.
All right. Now, does the woman have a picture of herself behind her in her press conference? That's pretty weird. Frank, do you think that the folks online, we'll call them the social media journalists, talking about the chaos in your city in New York, do you think they're misrepresenting it? Is it as bad as it appears? If you're in middle America and you're watching the show and you got two guys from New York and New Jersey on the panel, is it as bad as what's being portrayed? And how do you see it getting fixed? We asked Billy, but same question to you, Frank.
In terms of how I see it getting fixed, I think the problem with crime comes down to more police. In New York City, we have probably 7,000 to 9,000 fewer police officers than we need and that we had 30 years ago, in spite of the fact that we had a much smaller population back then. But it also comes down to a need for prosecutors to actually prosecute cases, right? So if you have a situation like we have in Manhattan, where prosecutors just refuse to bring felony cases, you can have the best police force in the world, and if they're not going to prosecute assault cases as felonies, what does it matter, right? I do think the commissioner has a kernel of a point that online media is not reality, but again, this is not a new complaint from public officials. This goes back to Spiro Agnew when he was vice president to Nixon, complaining about the media coverage that they were getting. The fact of the matter is that any kind of media, whether it's cable, whether it's broadcast, or whether it's on social media, they're motivated by clicks, they're motivated by views. So it's not crazy to think that they're going to put people on social media or events on social media that are going to generate the most clicks and the most views. Now, the last thing I have to say, and it's somewhat unrelated to what you were just talking about, but it was, it's relevant because it's making the rounds on social media now. I have to say the imam that spoke at the slain officer's funeral in New York, by his decision to bring up what's going on in Gaza and referring to it as a genocide in the funeral itself, I have to think, regardless of what you think about the situation in the Middle East, this was such a poor forum to do something like that. And I think it's only going to serve to distract from the legacy of such a great police officer and, by all accounts, such a great person like Officer Islam. And I wish the imam had not done that. I know people are going to be seeing that a lot on social media over the next day or two. So I had to mention that.
That's an interesting point that they, essentially, unfortunate, but they politicized what should be a non-political thing. A police officer slain in the line of duty. That's unbelievable. I didn't know about that, but that just goes to show the state of affairs we're in and the divide. All right, that's going to do it from my panel tonight. Frank Morano, Billy Prepe, we appreciate them both, and I want to tell you guys about our sponsor of tonight's broadcast, and you guys know and love our friends over at OFP Farms. Guys, OFP Farms is out with the, Frankie, this is the last day of it, the Summer in July sale, okay? Summer in July sale going on right now, OFP Farms. Go get 20% off your order with promo code LASTCALL. Guys, I got everything you need for your household, bathrooms and amenities, soaps, lotions, lip balms, beard products, okay? You see this beard, beautiful, and it's all made from natural ingredients, with the main ingredients being goat milk and tallow, okay? RFK Jr., tallow, maha, you guys know it. So right now, if you want to absolutely turn your health around, stop the big box store estrogen-laced lotions and materials that you buy, and go get the OFP Farms self-care boxes. You can get them on the website, ofpfarms.com, with promo code LASTCALL, and use promo code LASTCALL for 20% off your order. All right, guys, we continue to roll on here. We're going to come back and talk about, in our next segment, Nancy Pelosi, insider trading. What's going on? Does Trump oppose or support that bill? Don't go anywhere. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Thinking about travel? Think AMAC. AMAC members have access to special money-saving discounts on hotels, car rentals, cruises, and more, so you can save money on every adventure. But that's not all AMAC has to offer. AMAC is America's leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization, guided by the principles of faith, family, and freedom. So when it comes to saving money on travel and so much more, think AMAC.
When surprise breakdowns happen, American Home Shield will be there to fix or replace parts of the systems and appliances you rely on every day. They help protect your time and money by connecting you with qualified pros and helping pay for covered repairs or replacements. AHS offers flexible and affordable plans for every home. Sign up today and get 50% off. Visit ahs.com or call 833-PLAN-AHS for this limited time offer.
How does the world's most trusted dog expert keep his own dog so healthy?
Hi, I am Cesar Milan. In my 20 years rehabilitating dogs, I've seen too many struggle with health problems that no amount of training could fix. Then I discovered it wasn't the dog, it was their food. Fortunately, I found veterinarian Dr. Marty's Anti-Kibble Breakthrough.
Nature's Blend is packed with whole foods that are freeze-dried, locking in nutrients.
I saw remarkable improvements in my dogs within weeks.
Try Dr. Marty risk-free for 90 days. Plus, get a free gift when you call or visit drmartypets.com/Caesar.
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff, tense, or less active? Introducing the Easy Well Remedy Massage System, a triple fusion of therapeutic experiences. Full body vibrational therapy increases blood circulation and reduces inflammation. Infrared heat penetrates deep to reduce pain, soothe, and relax. The Ultra Shiatsu pillow with 6 heated nodes mimics a professional massage. Plus, it's detachable for deep relief anywhere you need it. Experience the true remedy for your pain and stiffness. Call now.
And welcome back to the show, everybody. Mike Crispi here. And, you know, people have always said that Washington, D.C. always, at the end of the day, serves itself. What does that mean? That means that people have this very bizarre trend that they upkeep of going to Washington, D.C. on a sub-6-figure salary, not having any particular set of skills or life accomplishments, and coming out being worth millions and millions of dollars. It's quite a peculiar thing. I mean, there's only one industry in which you can do that, and that is if you are a member of Congress or a senator, and you totally did it on your own volition. As New Jersey Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill said, running for governor right now, I just made some lucky trades. No, she really said that. That was her answer on television when asked about it. President Trump has been asked about something that is happening right now in the Senate, and that is a bill to abolish the ability of members of the House and the Senate and the presidency from trading stocks and making money on stocks. President Trump was asked about it, and he had some particular words for Nancy Pelosi. Let's take a look at that.
You know, Nancy Pelosi became rich by having inside information. She made a fortune with her husband, and I think that's disgraceful. So in that sense, I'd like it, but I'd have to really see I study these things very carefully, and this just happened. So I'll take a look at it. But conceptually, I like it.
So
and what I do.
Trump is talking about the bill, okay, that's been put up. It's called the Pelosi Act. So Trump says, conceptually, I like it. Now, Trump says that because he knows that at the end of the day, nobody is softer, okay, than career Republican incumbents. Let's just call a spade a spade. But let's see how Nancy Pelosi took that news. Nancy Pelosi was asked about it on CNN. And here was her, we'll call it very calm Smooth response, Roland.
Let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the stop the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern.
No concern. Nancy Pelosi, she has this thing which puts, she goes, why support it? Well, hold on. Nancy Pelosi supports it for an obvious reason, because she's at the end of her life and she's already made $100 million. Of course she supports it. Of course it would be so easy for Nancy Pelosi to say, you know what, I support this. And therefore, the lifetime Pelosi family fortune that's been made off of illegality is swept under the rug because she said, look at me, I supported it. So Trump said, I'm going to make some sense of this for everybody, because everyone's like, why did Trump attack GOP Senator Josh Hawley over this? So you guys can see Trump attacked him about it. Why did Trump attack him? Trump attacked him because he said, hold on a minute. You're acting like this is a big, beautiful bipartisan thing. Before you implement this stock trading ban, you need to have accountability. You can't just let Pelosi sign on to it and say this is kumbaya, because the bill would essentially say that if you're the president, or if you're a senator, or if you're the vice president, or if you're in any level of government, you can't do it. So what would happen? It would get passed under bipartisan terms, and then what would they do for the next 2 years in the United States of America? It's obvious. They would go through every single stock trade that Trump has ever made, right? That's what they would do, especially if it doesn't go our way in the midterms and it becomes a Democrat-controlled House. They will impeach Trump again for stock trading, and Nancy Pelosi will get off scot-free saying, hey, I supported the bill. So Trump said, hold on a minute. You know what they do to me. You know what they've done to me. I should be exempt from the bill. They only arrested me 4 times, gave me almost 100 counts, and tried to kill me and put me in jail. Exempt me from this because you know they'll use it as a weapon. And celebrating Nancy Pelosi being on board with this is either willfully disingenuous or stupid. That's why Trump called out Hawley about this. Hope that clears the air about it. That's what's going on here. And Trump's right. Republicans are so weak. He said, hey, if we're going to do this, you have to look into Nancy Pelosi's finances and make an example out of it. Prosecute her for it. That way, at least the left knows that we mean business. But Trump knows, because he's seen it time and time again, that Republicans are so weak and spineless. Now, what is another important thing with President Trump right now that isn't getting done because of weak and spineless people in the House and Senate? Confirming his picks for U.S. attorneys, his judicial picks, and his presidential appointee picks. There's over 150 of those people sitting there right now as the Senate says they're going to go home for August recess because they need to go coddle and talk to the people in their respective states and districts. Let me tell you something to all the senators and members of Congress out there. If you go home to your districts and states, you know what they're going to tell you? Turn the F around, no vacation, go back to the swamp, and get Trump's picks confirmed. Because we voted for him, and we voted for the people that he appoints. So when you don't use every single tool in your tool belt to ram through the people that Trump needs to help run the government with him, if you don't do that, you are with the Democrats on it. So you have all these Republicans getting upset about, oh, well, the procedural norms have been broken. It's like, what are the Democrats doing? We have never seen in the history of presidential administrations this many appointees not be in their spots this long into a presidential term. We've never seen anything like this. But Chuck Grassley, a 50-year dinosaur, takes offense to Trump calling out the abnormality. Roll it.
The district judges who serve their communities and the U.S. attorneys who ensure the law and order is enforced. I was offended by what the president said, and I'm disappointed that it would result in personal insults. Now, we're here to do business.
Okay.
That's a very important part of this committee's work, to do our constitutional duties of reviewing people that require Senate confirmation.
All right. I got a question. You think that people like Chuck Grassley survive for 50 years in the swamp by taking really courageous stands? The answer is no. Self-survival at its absolute essence right there. Anybody who's been in there that long, Pelosi, Grassley, New Jersey Congressman Chris Smith, you don't get into the system and stay in the system for 50 years by serving the will of the people on the outside, because they hate the people on the inside. So you have to be in with the people on the inside to protect yourself for that long. It's obvious. And by the way, our friend Paul Ingrassia, who President Trump nominated to be the head of the Office of Special Counsel, okay, President Trump put him up. We have Republicans who are like wanting to drag their feet on that. And we have Democrats who are doing everything they can to stall and delay and say all this stuff. And Republicans are like, oh, we'll do it again after the August recess. BS. His function, Office of Special Counsel, is to go after all the corrupt career deep state people in the government. That's what the Special Counsel's office does. Of course they don't want him in there. Of course they're attacking him more than anybody. Republicans need to rally behind and get him through, Paul, and everybody else. It's ridiculous. No summer break until you get the work done. Is that such a foreign concept to these people? All right, we're going to tell you guys about our sponsor right now. And our sponsor is Patriot Cigar Company. Guys, it is summertime. You're outside, backyard, grilling, barbecues. Get together with your patriotic alpha male friends and wonderful females. What better way to celebrate the golden age of America than with a Patriot cigar? Guys, this is America right here. You see the patriotic wrapping. You see the patriotic accessories, okay? The carrying case, the clippers. You see it right there. And it's not just a good look. They have the best flavor profiles in the business, okay? I'm talking 5-year age Nicaraguan tobacco, hand-rolled, the absolute best. They got all different types of cigars. And right now, if you go to mypatriotcigars.com and use promo code Crispi, you will get 25% off your order today. Let me tell you something. Frankie and I, sometimes we get together in his backyard. We smoke Patriot cigars and celebrate the success of what we're doing, our audience, the golden age. Yeah, he's got one ready to go right after the show, sparking it up. So guys, mypatriotcigars.com, promo code Crispi, 25% off. Let's go. Celebrate summer the right way. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with so much more. Don't go anywhere.
Is your body ready for summer?
We're gonna build a body you can be proud of. You just give me 30 minutes a day for 21 days, and I promise you, the weight will come off.
This is 21 Day Fix, the perfect program to get you summer ready.
I am in perfect shape for my bikini.
I had that sexy little bee.
Get simple fitness, simple nutrition, fast results in just 21 days.
Get ready for summer with 21 Day Fix. This week, try it free at 21dayfix.com. That's 21dayfix.com.
Rav Family, from the group who brought you the hit songs 81 Million Votes, My Ass, MAGA Nation, and Trader Joe, comes a brand new single. Daddy Trump is available everywhere, and we need you to make some noise. Go download it on iTunes, and let's run it up to #1 on the charts for President Trump.
So I just want to thank everybody very much. Thank you.
Get ready. You're about to get bombed by the truth bomber.
Didn't raise y'all, but I had to step up. Put the Ayatollah on a no-cap checker. He calls me Daddy Trump. NATO knows what's up. Why they play pretend, I call they bluff. Kim and Vlad acting bad, throwing fits on the floor. BB screaming from the back, saying, Daddy, there's a war. I walk in like Sunday school.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with Rice Robot, the 1, 2, 3 rice cooker. Watch, 1 add the white cup for rice, 2 add the blue cup for water, 3 click it and let Rice Robot perfectly cook it. The secret is perfect cook technology for even cooking. Then Rice Robot senses when it's done, auto stops and keeps it warm to serve. It won't burn, overcook or undercook, guaranteed.
Get the complete Rice Robot cooking system, all for just $39.99. Order now.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Mike Crispi here. And, on last week's show, on the last segment, we paid tribute to Hulk Hogan, a great American man, an alpha male from a better time, who we talked about inspiring the youth, inspiring our generation to be strong, to be tough, to be good men in society, and set a good precedent for fitness, lifestyle, just being a manly man. Our society is crumbling right now because we lack manly men. Now, our sentiment was shared by people across all spectrums. And somebody who paid a tribute to him was a guy named Joey Swoll. Joey Swoll is one of the biggest online, we'll call them fitness influencers, okay? Body positivity, gym influencers, millions of followers. He put out a tribute to Hulk Hogan, actually pretty similar to the tribute that we put out. As a matter of fact, it was less political and more about the impact that he had on a generation of young men growing up. So what happened? Joey Swoll then got attacked by the left. The left came at him and said he was a racist and he supported President Trump, and they came for him and attacked him in coordinated fashion. Now, I've been attacked by these groups myself. I understand that, again, famously, summer vacation, getting hundreds of phone calls from leftists, doxing me, trying to cancel me. I've been there. And I say you never kneel to the woke mob. You never give an inch, because at their root, they're mentally ill. Joey Swoll might be strong physically, but mentally, he's very weak. Look how he reacted to the cancel mob. Roll.
I owe my followers, my community, and all of social media an apology. A few days ago, I reposted an old video of me in the gym wearing a Hulk Hogan Halloween costume on the day that he passed. Last night in my live stream, a lot of people expressed how upset and frustrated they were with me that I had posted that. Instead of listening and understanding like I should have, I became defensive and said that I was posting to celebrate the wrestling icon, the person that so many of us looked up to as kids that we grew up with, that made us tear our shirts and take our vitamins and say our prayers. I didn't know to the extent of all the horrible things that he had done. Since last night, I have done a lot of research, talked to a few people, and learned all of the horrible, horrible things that that man has done, which is way more.
Okay, stop it right there, Frankie. It's just, hey, I learned and I looked and I studied and I listened. They say a black woman is speaking, listen and learn, right? Remember that's what they were saying during the BLM days? What a joke. He gave in to the cancel mob. Oh, he said horrible and did horrible things. Same people who say that support Barack Hussein Obama, okay, an international war criminal. Killed people, drone striked them to death. Anybody upset about that? No. You never give an inch to these mentally ill freaks. They'll freak out about literally anything. And that's why everything they say is a moot point and should be disregarded. Does that make sense? Another case in point. Sydney Sweeney, okay, famous figure out there. She's in this American Eagles ad, and it's a little play on words. She's an attractive woman. She has blue eyes. She's wearing blue jeans. She has good genes, okay? Very simple commercial. Here it is. This is what caused the leftist outroar. Roll it.
Sydney Sweeney has very canes.
Oh my goodness, the horror! That's it, that's the commercial. Like, the horror that a white woman, an attractive white woman, is marketing for a major brand again. Oh my goodness, there was like a 5-year span where it was only like fat black trannies, okay, and like, people like intersex race and like just the most disgusting people that you could ever find. They put them in the ads. Remember the Calvin Klein ad, that famous one? If it's not that, then this is how the left, this woke mob, this is how they'll react. If it's not, the most disgusting, egregious example as leftism thrown in your face. If it's not that, this is what they say. Roll it.
You guys are complaining about that Sydney Sweeney jeans ad, so I went and saw it. That's Nazi propaganda. Wow. I thought it was going to be like kind of bad. That's going to be in history book.
Oh my goodness, yes. It's going to be in the history books. It's going to be in the history books. She's basically saying, this is the leftist mentality. Again, this is taking the internet by storm. That because she's white and has blue eyes, and she's talking about blue jeans and has good genes because she's an objectively good-looking person, that means she's advocating for Nazism and like a return of the Aryan race. Only a mentally ill leftist in the woke mob would think that. So here's a little lesson to anybody out there who might get canceled for anything. Everything they say should be disregarded and ignored, because on anything, they will throw a fit and call it Nazi propaganda and cry. So therefore, nothing they say can be taken seriously. They tried to cancel me. When they do, you double and triple down. They want you to relent, backpedal, they smell weakness, they triple down, and they just want to ruin your life because they're sick, mentally ill freaks. There you go. We're not stopping. All right, that's about all the time we got. We love you. We appreciate you. Nobody's canceling this show. We'll see you back live next week.
Thinking about Medicare? Think AMAC. Medicare can be complicated, but AMAC makes it simple. Our licensed agents provide free, unbiased guidance to help you find the plan that best suits your needs. But that's not all AMAC has to offer. AMAC is America's leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization.